This video came into my feed, and as I was watching it I noticed that these people were in the clouds. So that's what my little tiny video is about today, because you know the clouds aren't very high. Above sea level is above sea level, isn't it? No matter where you are, it's going to still be the same whether it's here, there or anywhere. The only difference is there might be more clouds here because it's mountains. Or if it's a beach or just trees, it might be more humid, but there might not be so many clouds. So it might attract more clouds here because of, you know, the geometry and everything. But anyway, so they have this horrendous walk up here. It's like 80 degrees. That's what they said, 80 degrees. And we've gone to, oh, we've just gone past it. We've gone to Hariha Fort. 80-degree rock cut stairs. So the journey is just up, and they said if that's bad enough, coming down's even worse than going up. But obviously a lot of people do it, and there is no monastery or anything on the top of this one. It is a hill fort. And I was following these young people on their journey. That's how he's walking up. I'd want a rail. Anyway, when they get to the top, I was like, oh, right, cloud. Anyway, there's a few things left up there, not much. I think that's a building, I'm not sure. And then there's a hole, there's a few holes in the ground. There's the clouds, see? So they're on the top of this rock. And there's the clouds. So I thought, right, well, I know what I'm going to have to do. I'm going to have to work out. I wanted to know the height of this mountain, and then how many meters it was, or feet, and then how high those clouds are. Because we all know the clouds are not very high. Oh, yes, just stop there for a moment. Yes, a circular rainbow. It happens up there. Really rare phenomenon. But anyway, yeah, there's this rock with the clouds. Just getting there because I pre-recorded this bit. Come on then. There you go. That's how high it is from sea level. 1,120 meters, 44 inches, or 3,676 feet. So what I did was got a little converter out, and that is it converted. So we all know that 5 is half a mile, so that's 6 points of a mile. Those clouds are there. That's it. 0.6 of a mile up. And you know, how often when you look out your window do you think, God, those clouds are low? And do you know what? Who the person that made me realise more than anybody, because I saw it on my holiday, but it was watching Stan Smith, you know, the poor guy that died a few weeks ago. But he did masses and masses of research. He put cameras, really bizarre how I'm doing something completely different and talking about Stan. I had to cry about Stan today. Amy went, look, another video about Stan, and it was Sandra P900 Cool Pics, and didn't think it was going to. That made me cry. And now I find that I'm talking about Stan again, because Stan used to put cameras up on his roof, so he wanted to see every angle the sun, the moon, the stars, or whatever he could capture was coming in. He liked more the sun. No, he liked filming the moon as well, actually, thinking about it. I think he liked the moon the best. Probably the, you know, I don't know, lots of people like the moon. But anyway, I noticed on his cameras when he left it there filming all day that I thought, oh my God, look how low the clouds are. And the fact that they're like away, you know, like when you watch the sea, when you're watching his cameras, because he speeds the footage, well, he did speed the footage up a little bit, they're like oceans coming at you, and then there's nothing, and then suddenly the sky makes a cloud right in front of the camera. One disappears right in front of the camera. But anyway, I noticed how low the clouds were, so, you know, we all like to know how far away those clouds are. So, if you were in other areas, the clouds could be a bit higher because there's mountains there, and I think mountains attract clouds. There you go, feet or meters, 0.6 of a mile up. That's it. There's nothing else. Here they go, so they're 0.6 of a mile up because there's the cloud. Wow, I'm not saying every day that there is clouds, because there's pictures without the clouds there. Clouds. You have to go up on a bit of a rock and then start the really steep climb up that face. But all it is 0.6 of a mile up. And they've got a cloud. How bizarre is that? Anyway, that's the little hill fort on the top. Because they do like putting monasteries up on the top of, well, they call them monasteries, but this is a hill fort. Not sure if that's a building or not there, because one picture shows a building, well, it looks more like a building. And doesn't that look like that's out of most people's gardens? Like, you could be in an English garden round the pond there. Or is that a swimming pool? But anyway, it's got steps into it there. But anyway, you know, we've had things like that in our gardens. It's hard to believe that that was that old, because it's all gone now. And then it's coming up steps. Look at that climb. But anyway, 0.6 of a mile. The clouds are there. So I just wanted to know myself. So anyway, now I've told you. 1.6 of a mile. Anyway, who thought that the clouds were that low? They say when you're smaller, everything looks bigger. I don't know about that. I do remember when I was a kid looking up and thinking, oh, look at that little tiny moon. It was just a little tiny thing in the sky. And I remember that the clouds seemed very up there. And now clouds don't. I'm not sure if the more awake you could become, the lower the clouds get. Is that our consciousness? I don't know, but anyway, I just thought I'd go and look up a couple of other places. So, even closer to the ground, the Eiffel Tower. That is the top of the Eiffel Tower sticking out of the clouds. Okay, so in a moment, what I'm going to do is I'm going to look up how tall the Eiffel Tower is, and there's another one. Yes, they are low clouds. Those ones obviously are more like a mist, but I think that's just low flying cloud, to be honest. It happens to be called whatever they want to call it. Another picture of the top end of the Eiffel Tower in clouds. So it's 300 meters or 324 to the tip. I'll put 300 in, so just say that. That's 200. It's 2 points of a mile up, and the Eiffel Tower can get clouds. And then here is Dubai, and I often see people taking videos or pictures of them above the clouds. So I went to look up the tallest building, which is this one. There it is there. This one here. It's 800 and something meters tall. Damn big building, isn't it? Anyway, it stands 828 meters or 2,716 feet, 0.5, above ground. So I put that in, it's half a mile. And the mountains, it was 0.6 of a mile. And on a bad day in Paris, it's 0.2 of a mile. What's your thoughts to that then? Or did everybody know that the clouds were that low? This is Stan Smith's channel. He has such a library of information for those that want to know on his channel, let alone what he's trying to say there. He has a whole catalogue of those clouds, of the sun, moon, you name it, there's loads of it on his channel. But I did notice that he did stop streaming like the, what was it, 30th of March, like nearly a year ago, just when, you know, the Lyris and all that. But anyway, I'm going to show you a little bit of his footage. It's not just because of Stan, but I saw it on Stats. And basically he has these cameras up on his roof, and he was recording, and then, you know, one day I think, oh my god, just look how close the clouds are. Now the ones in the background, those are the ones I remember as a kid. They were up there, you know, and there is clouds passing, and it is a little bit of a strange colour here, but maybe it's just the light of the sun coming in. But look how low these ones are. Just look how low they are. So no wonder those people on the rock are in the clouds. Or that the Eiffel Tower gets clouds. Look how low it is. Seriously, come on guys, much lower and it's gonna be us. Don't you think? Anyway, lovely Stan. Everybody knows Stan died a few weeks ago. Anyway, I seem to be mentioning him rather a lot, but lovely Stan, thank you so much for doing this and leaving your work and doing all that you did. You know, he's a really clever bloke. I know he was doing it with other people, you know, Z Proxy, Cosmic Surfer, etc, etc. And, you know, they were doing research together, but thank you guys. Well, you taught me things. I can't do this, but thank you to the people that do. And I always appreciated Stan, and I think he felt a bit frustrated because people hadn't noticed him enough. Not him, what he was doing. And just look at that. What happens next, guys? Just look how low those clouds are. Come on. What are they doing to us? Those are the clouds I remember, the ones up there, the ones that were up in the sky. The other ones, wow. Anyway, thanks for watching. Lots of love to Stan. Thanks Stan for doing so I can show you a bit of his work. yes, I like very much what Florida Marquis talks about. I have mirrored a little bit of his work before, and I don't think he'll mind me doing this. I will send him a copy of this, but after this, he gets into diet. And one thing he's noticed is that, you know, the people there are a bit more elderly, so maybe retired, less stressed, and then he gets on to diet. But I was wondering back to this picture when he's showing us this, because he does draw out the fact that it's very strange, this person looking like a native with a crown, has green, or has shoes on. But maybe this picture's about abundance. We've got peace, trees, water, although the ship doesn't look very big in the picture, considering he's here. You can see the tree, the ship is very small, but maybe all this means abundance. That's what here meant. Or when it was bigger, because I showed a picture on a map on one of the videos the other day that obviously this was much bigger, and then in this, you know, it didn't look like that. But maybe this is about abundance. But I liked what he was saying, because this is an old emblem and no one talks about what they're looking at. They just accept and don't question what this all means.
There's something very, very strange going on with the state seal of Florida. And when you add in some little known historical facts, it makes the image even stranger. In today's video, I would like to cover some of those facts and attempt to get to the bottom of this, because I've looked at state seals from all over the country, and they are almost all very, very representative of the state. You don't see things in the imagery that argue with what the state is. For example, you don't see pictures of cactuses on the state seal of Michigan. You don't see pictures of deserts on the state seal of New York. But on the state seal of Florida, you see mountains. And more importantly, you see the sun either rising or setting over those mountains. Now, Florida didn't become a state until March 3rd, 1845. Florida wasn't a state, wasn't even part of the Revolution. It was only 15 years before the War of Federal Aggression that Florida became a state, and even at that, the vast majority of the southern part of the state was wild. It was total wilderness and swamp. Everything north of, everything south of Orlando was pretty much uninhabitable, so the only imagery they would have used would have been from somewhere in the north. Now, when we look closely here on the right, we see an image of a Native American standing on the bank of a river. In that river is a steam-powered paddle boat. On the far bank is a king palm. In the distance is mountains, with the sun either going down or coming up. I personally believe it's the sun coming up, it's the sun rising, because there's only one river in northern Florida that would have been large enough to be traveled by these types of steam-powered paddle wheels. And that river is the St. Johns. It's in extreme northeast Florida. Mayport Naval Base is up here, Jacksonville. And it's still a very, very busy port. As you can see, the river gets very, very wide. Almost looks like, at some points, looks like a giant bay. Especially when you get down towards Green Cove Springs. There is a very secretive but very strategic submarine base, believe it or not, years ago, near Green Cove Springs. So it's my opinion, just based on observation, that this is a picture of a Native American somewhere on the western bank of the St. Johns River, looking eastward at a rising sun. It's the over the mountains part that is very, very strange. I'm not sure why they would have added that in. Looking eastward, there's nothing even remotely like it. And there are rivers, there's intracoastal waterways all over Florida, and way over here in the Panhandle, for a very short time, it looks like the Chattahoochee comes into Florida. But, you know, and then if it's over here, then you could be looking either direction, but the closest to Florida you can find mountains isn't east or west, it's north. Which then begs the question, where was this idea gotten from? One of the more odd things is that there are mountains in Cuba, there are mountains in Dominican, there are mountains in Puerto Rico, there are mountains all over the Caribbean. Why are there none in Florida? It really makes you wonder sometimes about history and where Native Americans from this era would have gotten this idea. It was the big draw to Florida, by the way, the St. Johns River, because that was really the only way at that time you could make it into the interior. There were Spanish explorers hundreds of years before that had gone back and reported to the king of Spain that Florida was largely uninhabitable, unsettleable. It would never be any kind of an asset. I believe that might have been DeSoto. That's the contempt they had for this part of North America. And that's what they thought of it. So a very, very strange anomaly that they would create this. And the image used for the Native American in the foreground is very, very light-skinned. And it wasn't an ink issue, because you can see they have the darker tones that they use for the, well, I guess for the trim, and then also for the palm tree and for the boat. The shoes are also almost teal. I've never seen teal sandals everywhere. Anyway, I mean, I'm sure in some store now you could find them, but at that time, very, very odd imagery that was used. Because this is such a small detail on the seal of a state. Unless it was something that was just accurate for the period, I'm not sure why you would use it.
So I went myself to look up to see if Florida had any mountains, and there's Sugarloaf Mountain, but it's not got a range on it, but it does have water the other side, and I thought, oh, maybe that's it, but no. So I have to go and look things up, and then this on the way to finding that, well, whatever you want to call it. But anyway, that was a bit interesting, I suppose. You've all got nicknames for the state. There they are. Anyway, I came across these are seals with some very interesting pictures on them as well, but what do all those mean, and the stories and the history behind them? But that is your seal. This is the American seal. Yeah, the White House one. That's what's used on your seal. That's just a painting of it. Now, I did come across that one. And then I started to see, yes, it's got that red crisscross on it. Anyway, started to find more pictures. The thing that is the most common is the boat, the tree, and In God We Trust. other than that, the scenery changes and so does the person. And whether there's like mountains and things in it. And one of the pictures has 2 boats on it, so it changes all the time. As have the sun in it. These are all seals that obviously have been used, but they are all different. Some have got mountains in, some have got 2 boats in them, some don't have mountains in them, and they change a bit, quite a bit, sometimes. And then after getting here to the next bit, wasn't really much information. Here we go. Looking at this, yep, the seal. That's it. No more. Only that this seal has been used at some point, and that's about it. It says 20th century. Not very much information. Anyway, there it is. It was used. It was adopted in 1985, but it's from 1876. But anyway, it says here there have been several changes have occurred. The Indian woman no longer has a feathered headdress, and there's no mountains in the background have been flattened. I wonder what that means. The mountains in the background have been flattened, but Florida has no mountains. The steamboat has been prepared a few times, and a sable palm has been transplanted in place of the original cocoa tree to reflect the state's adoption of the sable palmetto palm as the official state tree in 1953. So that's the reason that the tree's there. Last revised in 1985. Well, there's a little bit more history on it, but I wonder what the real history is then, because why would they put mountains in there? What, was Florida saying, I want mountains? Yeah, they're obviously reflecting something else, aren't they? What's your thoughts on it? Just asking. Several changes have occurred. The Indian woman no longer has a feathered headdress. A mountain in the background has been flattened. Florida has no mountains. A mountain in the background has been flattened. Florida has no mountains. Doesn't really explain that much, does it? Anyway, I wonder what it all means. What it really means then. I'd like to know too.